arrest of a suspect in the assassination of Turning Point USA founder and conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Tyler James Robinson is 22 years old. He is charged with, among other crimes, aggravated murder and is now being held without bail. This according to court records obtained by CNN. Sources tell us he currently is not speaking with investigators. Robinson was arrested overnight in Washington County, Utah, hundreds of miles from the scene of Wednesday's shooting at Utah Valley University. It came after authorities released much clearer photographs and videos of the suspected gunman. A law enforcement source tells CNN that Tyler Robinson's own father recognized his son. Another source says that Robinson confessed when confronted by his father. We're going to have more details on that in just a minute. But in making the arrest announcement this morning, Utah's Republican governor, Spencer Cox, delivered some important and conciliatory words of caution for a state and a nation polarized and traumatized by political violence. They are worth hearing again.
We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes. Because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse.
That is the choice facing this country now. Our coverage begins with CNN's Ed Lavandera in Utah and the story of how Robinson was tracked down and captured.
We got him.
The information that led investigators to Tyler Robinson came just after authorities released new videos and enhanced photos of the suspect fleeing the shooting scene. The 22-year-old was arrested at 10 p.m. Thursday night. Robinson is now in custody in the Utah County Jail, held on several charges, including aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice. He could face the death penalty. The manhunt lasted 33 hours. Investigators say video images of the suspect showed him running along the rooftop of a Utah Valley University campus building, dropping to the ground and walking away. This was seconds after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed with a single supersonic bullet, 12:23 p.m. Wednesday local time. The focused manhunt began after authorities analyzed surveillance footage from the scene. A rifle was found in a wooded area near the university with evidence that may point to the suspect's motive.
Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" "Catch!"
The governor said surveillance video matched the suspect identified on the roof to footage showing him arriving on campus in a Dodge Challenger.
He is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes.
Authorities say the suspect arrived on campus at 11:52 a.m. This video appears to match the suspect's description. At 9:48 a.m. Thursday, the FBI released the first photos from surveillance video of a person of interest, showing a man in sunglasses and a dark blue cap wearing a t-shirt with an American flag. Then at 10:45 a.m. that day, a reward, $100,000 for information leading to the identification and arrest of the individuals responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Later that night at 7:52 p.m., authorities released the video of the suspect running across a rooftop, climbing over the roof ledge and jumping to the ground before running away. Robinson, matching the descriptions in the video, was later located at his home in Washington County, Utah, at 10 p.m. Thursday, 260 miles from the scene, and taken into custody. According to Utah's governor, Robinson's father confronted him after seeing the video and the images and told his son to turn himself in. Robinson was then transported overnight and booked into jail just before 2 a.m. Friday morning, 12 miles from the scene of Kirk's shooting. And Jim, 2 sources tell CNN that Tyler Robinson did speak briefly with investigators when he was first taken into custody, but now that he is here in the Utah County Jail, just 9 miles from the shooting scene, he is no longer talking. And we are told by prosecutors here in Utah County that formal charges will be filed on Tuesday, and that is when he will make his initial court appearance. He will not be in the courtroom in person. He will appear virtually. Jim?
Ed Lavandera in Utah, thanks so much. With us now, CNN's John Miller, who served as Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism for the NYPD and former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis. Good to have you both. And John, I understand you have new details that he initially did not go willingly to law enforcement, the suspect here.
Well, when his father suggested the only thing to do is to turn yourself in, we are told from law enforcement sources that he said, "I'd rather kill myself than surrender." And then the father convinced him to talk to the pastor, a youth pastor, who also, the youth pastor is also a chaplain with the sheriff's department. And that became the bridge between the conversation between Tyler, the Fugitive Task Force, and the U.S. Marshals at the Sheriff's Office, and ultimately the FBI.
Ed, our understanding is that the father saw these pictures released by law enforcement and recognized his son, or believed he recognized his son. Have you seen other cases when a parent is faced with that choice of, in effect, turning their own child in?
I have, unfortunately. It happens relatively frequently. When a parent sees that there's a real chance for a serious violent crime, they sometimes have to make this horrible decision. I had a friend who was a captain of police in the Boston Police Department who had to turn his son in on a terrorism charge because he was planning an attack. The FBI came in and arrested him. And he struggled with it, but he had to do it to save people's lives.
John, as you know, there's so much disinformation swirling about this right from the moment that this crime took place. I'm not going to reference it to give it life, but one thing that this case has shown us, I imagine, is the difficulty in profiling in cases like this. You look at this suspect, both parents registered Republicans. He didn't vote in recent elections, but was not registered for either party. Some references to conversations with family where he said that he disagreed with Charlie Kirk. But I imagine that makes it difficult for law enforcement to get ahead of cases like this, right? And profile potential actors in advance.
Well, Jim, one of the things we're seeing, and you can go back through just, recent events, whether it was the shooting in Washington, D.C. of the two Israeli embassy employees at the Jewish Museum, or the attack on politicians, elected officials in outside Minneapolis at their homes by an individual posing as a police officer, or the shooting at the church school in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago. These things are happening literally every other week, and the actors behind them, the perpetrators, are selecting grievances from a salad bar where they mix and match different themes that have no mooring to their upbringing or family beliefs. And a lot of this is driven by people who become lost and isolated, find their way to the internet, are already angry, depressed, and looking to lash out. And at the back end of that decide, well, what they're going to lash out about.
Yeah, it reminds me sometimes of the path to radicalization of terror suspects going back years when we
Very
looked at
similar.
ISIS, lone wolves, etc. Ed, looking at the case here, the evidence seems pretty strong. The video evidence, the forensic evidence collected, and the fact that eventually he turned himself in under pressure from his father. What are the next steps here in terms of preparing for an eventual trial?
Well, they'll continue a methodical review of the evidence and start to branch out to other people who may have known him or had some contact with him. The reports I'm getting is he was online a lot as a gamer. They'll even go back and try to pull the identities of the people that he was playing with online and have conversations with them. But the really troubling part here is that you've got a young man who dropped out of college after one semester and ended up in his parents' cellar or a bedroom in the house, and was online and kind of living, based upon the comments that he put on the bullets and other things online, living a fantasy life. I think that's the real troubling part here. They're going to have to look deeply into that.
Yeah. Discord as well. All these messages shared on Discord, precedent for that. John Miller, Ed Davis, thanks so much to both of you.